Well, thank you very much for joining us for our annual special presentation, Harvest for Hunger. I'm Richard French. Food insecurity, it is a health crisis that impacts as many as 50 million Americans in all 50 states. Each year, as the holidays approach, we explore this issue of hunger and its impact on Long Island. Now, every night, some of our neighbors, they're struggling to put a nutritious meal on the table. There are over 315,000 people living in Nassau and Suffolk who fall into the category of the food insecure. That's nearly 11% of our population, and they come from all walks of life. To help the hungry, there are more than 600 local food pantries, soup kitchens, or emergency feeding services across the island, and they need your help. Now, some of the people who walk into these places, they do receive public assistance, but large numbers don't, and they include families, senior citizens, disabled veterans, all struggling to put food on the table. Now, they are the working poor, and among them, 70,000 are children who, though no fault of their own, find themselves going to bed hungry. Now, over the next half hour, we will speak to those on the front lines leading the fight to end hunger, and we'll also hear from the people in need and the volunteers who give of themselves to help their neighbors. Now, we begin first with Files One's Brella Tomasetti, who takes us inside Island Harvest, the largest hunger relief organization on Long Island.
Hunger never takes a break. That's why workers and volunteers at Island Harvest are shipping off bundles of food to families in need just in time for the holiday season.
Each season, the need continues to grow, and we are working with new partners and building new relationships to help the roughly 316,000 people across Long Island who are looking for a Thanksgiving dinner this season.
You heard that right. More than 300,000 people on Long Island don't have food to put on the table this year. So Island Harvest's goal is simple: fill as many plates as possible.
Throughout the entire day, there are buses and vans that come to just get everything that we grow here and everything else they have inside to bring them to families who need it.
It all starts in this massive warehouse. Island Harvest moves millions of pounds of food a year with help from donors, restaurants, and even caterers, rescuing food that would normally be thrown away at the end of the day.
This has been a great year. We're trying to reach our goal of over 10 million pounds. We're over 8 million right now, so we're way on our way for that goal.
Next, the food bank coordinates with around 400 member agencies like food pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters to find out exactly what items they need. And then those agencies distribute the food to their local community members, including veterans, seniors, and even children.
During the holidays, we all, spend more money. There are more expenses for families, so people who are already struggling really struggle more during this time of year.
Sherry Hagler runs a food pantry in Amityville and made a special trip to Island Harvest to load up her truck with holiday essentials. None other than fresh Thanksgiving turkeys.
It's nice to be able to give them a meal that they can share with their families and friends when they probably couldn't do it on their own. So it's good that we can able to transport this and give it out to the community when they need it the most.
There are so many wonderful people doing so many wonderful things, whether they're helping the community because they were helped at one time themselves, or if it's because they just want to give a little piece of themselves to make sure their community grows. It's a wonderful experience.
And while workers and volunteers are doing their part over in Suffolk County, community members are helping to pitch in too here in Nassau. Now, if you take a look here behind me, they're currently working on unloading about 60 turkeys from this truck that are all going to go right into this truck over here.
I absolutely love seeing the faces of everyone dropping them off. The energy in here is so vibrant. Everyone is just such in a great mood. The holidays are coming. We're all doing such a great deed, and it's just a great and warm feeling.
Outside of the warehouse, Island Harvest teams up with Bethpage Federal Credit Union every year to host Long Island's largest single-day food drive, the Bethpage Turkey Drive.
We're bringing in well over 2,000 turkeys in one day and thousands of pounds of food, and just getting the word out is really important. We're fighting the big fight of trying to end hunger, but we can't do it alone.
It's where you'll find thousands of turkeys, non-perishable goods, and even more holiday spirit. The 9th annual installment of the event aims to feed 300,000 families this Thanksgiving.
This is my second year being a part of the turkey drive. I love being a part of it because they were donating food for a great cause.
I just love helping and seeing the big turnouts that there always are, and seeing that we're getting a lot of food for people in need.
Scores of volunteers, both young and old, putting in hours of dedication.
There's more.
That's including Brian Froelich of Wantagh, who tells us he personally dropped off 120 turkeys from Stu Leonard's, a generous donation he's been making for the past 5 years.
You know, whatever you could do, you know, just got to get back to the community. You make it, you got to get back. Every year it gets bigger.
One single turkey can feed an entire family, so even the smallest contribution can make a lasting difference to those who are fighting to get food on the table.
That's what we're all doing here, helping out people who need it during the holiday season and every day, because food insecurity is such a big problem here on Long Island and elsewhere in the tri-state area.
But in addition to helping a good cause, volunteers are also reflecting on what they're most thankful for this holiday season.
I'm thankful for being here and having family here.
I'm thankful for my family and my health. I'm thankful for collecting all the turkeys from everyone.
To be here, to be able to give back to the community, it's what it's all about, and we're just grateful for everyone to donate today.
Briella Tomasetti, FiOS 1 News.
Some of those who served our country, they are among those at risk for food insecurity. But there are people who want to help. FiOS 1's Brittany Comack, she attended a massive food drive for veterans at Nassau Coliseum, and she has the story.
$100,000! Awesome!
In addition to the large donation from New York Community Bank, turkeys, soup, and pasta are just some of the items collected outside of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Instead of a concert or comedian, Long Islanders are packing the outside of the Coliseum for something much different, a food drive in honor of those who've sacrificed so much for their country. The food drive, hosted by New York Community Bank and Island Harvest, goes to support Operation Hope, which gives help to veterans and families of active duty members that are in need of food assistance. And with Long Island having the second largest veteran population in the country, according to Island Harvest, the need is there.
We're the second largest veterans population in the country. We're the largest in New York. And there's a lot of people that have needs here. And so we realize that if we focus specifically on them for this particular project, that we can do the most that we can do for Island Harvest.
As part of Operation Hope, volunteers deliver food to the families and veterans in need twice a week. One such worker is Navy veteran Joval Nance.
What I do is I receive a phone call from a veteran. They say I need some food. I set up a date and a time, and I'll go out to that veteran's house, and I'll give them about 50 pounds of food. And you should see their faces. Their faces are just glowing like, oh my God, this much food? Oh my God.
And though they've collected donations in years past, this is the first year they will be doing so outside of the arena that is dedicated in the name of veterans.
I like the fact that it's boots on ground. All vets need to help out vets, no matter what. That's what we do. We're here for service. We've done service. We continue to do service throughout our lives.
Food will be collected all during the month of November at branches of New York Community Bank and at events here at the Coliseum. In Uniondale, Brittany Comack, FiOS 1 News.
Every day, so many of our neighbors, they face very difficult choices. Parents skipping meals so they can feed their kids, seniors choosing between buying medicine and food, and students deciding between their education and eating. Well, coming up, that reality will be part of a roundtable discussion with our panel of experts. And also ahead, making sure that people in need have food on the table and the kids and the seniors feel cared for. Well, it's the mission of one local volunteer effort. We'll hear from them coming up on this FiOS 1 News special, Harvest for Hunger. Welcome back. You know, many believe that it's in the urban areas, the big cities, where the problem of hunger is the greatest. But it is in the suburbs often where poverty and food insecurity hide in plain sight. Joining our discussion right now, they're the warriors spearheading the fight to end hunger in our communities. They lead the charge at the biggest food banks in our area, and they know all too well that hunger does exist in the suburbs, and in fact, it's a growing issue. Now, we want to thank them all for joining us. Randy Shubin-Dresner, she is President and CEO of Island Harvest out on the island. Karen Leese, Vice President of Development at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. And Leslie Gordon, President and CEO of the Food Bank of Westchester. Ladies, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, let's first of all dispel any notions that it's, around Thanksgiving or the end of the year, the holiday seasons where food's necessary. I'll start with you. Talk about how demand has changed right now, where it used to be that maybe Monday through Friday there'd be a lunch that was offered. Now, in many cases, it's a 7-day proposition and it's 3 meals a day.
Most of the food pantries that we're supporting used to let the clients coming in come as often as they wanted to. And now most of the food pantries in our network are cutting back and only allowing people to come in once a month or maybe twice a month. And that's because the demand has come up so much. They are nervous that they won't have enough food for everybody, and so they limit the amount of times that people could come into their pantries. And the truth of the matter is that if you're hungry in November, you're hungry in July and January and other times of the year as well. And hunger is 365 days of the year.
It's changed too, hasn't it? Where people have always been hungry, but the volume of people that need help, that are on the margins or that have been a client for a long time, the demand really has spiked.
Well, more and more we're serving the working poor. We know that over 50% of the people that we serve in New Jersey have a working member of their household. So they pay their bills, they pay their utilities, they pay their rent, and there's just not enough left at the end of the month. So if we can supplement that with healthy, nutritious foods, proteins and produce, and give them that extra, then that family will flourish. But if we're not there, and if people aren't helping us to be there, then you see real hardship.
It's interesting. I hear two common refrains every time I talk to people in your world. One is, the greatest day will be the day they're put out of work, where they don't need to do what you guys have to do. But the other thing is, you'd be very surprised who our clients are. And it's not the stereotype of a junkie or a hobo on the street. You have families coming in. You have working families, as just articulated. You have people that once were volunteers that are even clients right now. There is a changing face, or at least a more, evolved face as to the population that really needs you guys, right?
Yeah, I often tell people that a lot of Americans are just one paycheck away, potentially, or one job loss or one significant health crisis away from finding themselves standing on a food pantry line or accessing food at a soup kitchen.
I've heard it's a car breaking down.
Sure.
I heard it's one of the parents getting sick. That it's that by a thread, just one little thing that could go wrong. And we dealt with the United Way with their whole Alice program, where they tried to articulate just how many people, forget about that are below the poverty line, are one mishap from it. And that's what's really changed here. There's no cushion.
We, our staff was working with a single father who hurt his hand very, very badly, and he couldn't work any longer. He came to us in tears because he couldn't put food on the table. But when we were giving him food out of our pantry, he whispered to us that he needed toilet paper also, and he was embarrassed. He was scared of the future because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to work again, and he didn't think he'd be able to get enough from the social service programs to be able to support his family. We recently met with a mother who was going through chemotherapy for breast cancer, and was in tears because the holidays were coming up and didn't think that she'd be able to support her family through the holiday season. I was watching some videos that we had of a food distribution to veterans not long ago. I couldn't be at the event, and I saw somebody that I knew getting food from Island Harvest Food Bank. It was somebody that I grew up with, his older brother, and he was talking about his struggles of hunger. We all know people who are struggling, we just don't know it, because when you're living in food insecurity, you can't put food on the table for your family, it's not something that you're going to be talking about.
And we've all heard the stories we've covered in this program, people having to make decisions between buying medicine or literally putting food on the table. And one person gave me an anecdote. They go, you think it's interesting when you walk through? The people that come to the back door because they're embarrassed. Yeah. Sometimes they look like you, Rich. They got a suit on, right? Yeah. And it's that much of a challenge. So if we've effectively communicated the demand and it's not just a holiday thing, let's talk about how people can help. And there's a bunch of different ways they can, right?
Oh, totally. It's such a great time of year to volunteer. Volunteers are desperately needed year-round, but volunteering with your family and showing your children and your loved ones how you can affect change for other.
And for people who think, well, should I get my kids involved? Will that be embarrassing for the clients that are there? You need all the help you can get, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And in the warehouse, you know, you're not necessarily client interfacing. So there's lots of different things that kids can do. We have Girl Scout and Boy Scout troops that come in and repack pasta into smaller bags so that they can go into our family packs into the schools. And we have families that work together staging our produce for our free family farmers markets to get, you know, that produce out into the high need areas. So there's lots of different ways people can contribute and get us ready to meet the need. Also donating. Obviously, a dollar can be stretched very far with our organizations, and we say that every dollar equals 3 meals that we can provide to needy families.
People should feel comfortable, one, that anything they can give, whether it's time, food, or funds, it'll be used properly, and also they're going to get back as much as they give, right?
We talk about 4 ways of giving, contributing, because we all, economies of scale, but we have resources to leverage funds that come into all of our food banks. Volunteering is important, and we encourage families and individuals to get involved. And finding resources and helping us to get donated food, because that's another reason why we're all so efficient, because we also depend on donated food. But the 4th thing, I think, is probably one of the most important, and that's actually talking about the issue of hunger. Because if we don't talk about it and we don't acknowledge it, then we're never really going to be moving the needle on ending hunger.
There's a real need that these agencies not only really rely on here, but certainly a lot of people that may even be your neighbor do as well. Ladies, thank you again. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And still to come, how one local soup kitchen is instilling in children a sense of nurturing and empathy. That right after a quick commercial break. In Syosset, volunteers, they're helping families in need this holiday season by packing special holiday baskets. Fox 1's Brella Tomasetti, she was at a United Jewish Appeal Federation location to see how they're making a lasting difference.
Dozens of families hard at work packing baskets to make sure everyone has food on the table this Thanksgiving.
Today we're bringing a Thanksgiving meal, for lack of a better word. We give them a gift certificate to buy a turkey as Thanksgiving gets closer, but we provide them with plates, napkins, all vegetables, cranberries, drinks, and so forth.
The Thanksgiving baskets, which are being personally delivered to those people in need, will not only help poverty-stricken families, but also feed homebound seniors and veterans. Volunteers that came out, both young and old, say they hope the baskets will bring people joy, despite the hardships they might be going through.
Well, I think it's good that we're doing it for Thanksgiving because it's a national holiday and everyone celebrates it.
Volunteers also tell us that participating in the basket donations has taught them a valuable life lesson to feel more appreciative and to not take anything for granted.
They should be happy every day that they're provided with even the basics such as food, drinkable water, shelter. They should feel grateful and happy that they have all of that.
The UJA Federation of New York impacts the lives of those close to home and abroad. Its reach extends to nearly 70 different countries around the world, and the nonprofit helps about 4.5 million people every single year.
We want to make sure that people in need are being serviced, that they have food on the table, that the kids feel cared for, seniors feel cared for, and we can do this with UJA and all of our volunteers.
In Syosset, Brella Tomasetti, Fios 1 News.
Throughout the year, so many volunteers give of their time to help others, and we recently visited an event that brings young people into the fold, that in an attempt to show them the value of volunteering. Fox 1's Patricia Nicholas, she has the story.
At the Mary Brennan Soup Kitchen, it was an event billed as a family day of thanks and giving. This is where the hungry and homeless are helped. But another purpose behind this particular event was for parents to instill in their children a sense of nurturing and empathy for others.
It's a pleasure to actually come in and help all those that need us.
Volunteering here has been one of the best experiences of my entire life.
Those young and old volunteered their time to partake in various activities, like lending a helping hand in the kitchen, while others hand-delivered food. Overall, all we spoke with tell us this experience was rewarding.
Doing good makes you feel good. When you hand a plate of hot, nutritious food to someone who's hungry and you see the smiles on their face, the twinkle in their eye, the thank yous that they say, very often I've had guests say to me, God bless you. I feel that I have gotten more from the transaction than what I gave them.
When you have a roof over your head and good food to eat and like gaming systems and everything, it's sometimes hard to remember that there are people who aren't as fortunate as you. And sometimes you just kind of want to stay in your house and just kind of lie around. But when I came here, I wasn't that happy about it. But once I started doing it, I just felt rewarding because I knew that there would be other people who would be benefiting from what I was doing.
The Mary Brennan Soup Kitchen is run by the Interfaith Nutrition Network and is one of 10 soup kitchen locations across Nassau and Suffolk counties, all run entirely by volunteers. In Hempstead, Patricia Nicholas, FiOS 1 News.
It is a long-standing tradition at Stu Leonard's, and this year, no different. It was the annual Turkey Brigade. That's where turkeys are sent to 40 different local organizations to serve families in need during the holidays. FiOS 1's Chris McNally picks up that story.
Cars lined up at Stu Leonard's in Farmingdale to pick up turkeys that will be going to a good cause.
And we're giving out over 2,500 turkeys company-wide to local organizations.
Stu Leonard's is donating turkeys to provide a Thanksgiving meal for families in need.
At a time like this, where so many people are hungry, we have to come together. And for us, this is so big to make sure that, we feed families.
We've been doing this for over 38 years as a company, and that's a lot of birds.
This year, turkeys were donated to the Big Brother Big Sister Long Island organization, First Presbyterian Church of Baldwin, Island Harvest, and more.
We are giving out 65 full turkey dinners to 65 families in the town of Huntington.
We're with the Barbecue Brethren, and we're making Thanksgiving meals for veterans that are homeless and at risk, and for families dealing with breast cancer.
To receive the turkey donation, listeners of a local radio station nominated the groups. Patrick Klosick, the principal of Woodward Parkway Elementary School in Farmingdale, says this donation will go to good use and teach the children an important lesson about giving to those in need.
Our students, they're creating Thanksgiving baskets for families in need, and it'll have everything from cranberry sauce to stuffing, and Stu's was great. They donated the turkeys for us, so we're really grateful for that.
There was also the first annual Turkey Brigade at the brand new East Meadow location as well.
We have a chance to help people that aren't quite as fortunate or maybe are just down on their luck a little bit this time of year. It's all part of the holiday season, and it's something we like to do.
Stu Leonard's provides the turkeys in hopes that families that may have not been able to enjoy a Thanksgiving meal can gather around the table and have some delicious food together. Reporting in Farmingdale, Krista McNally, FiOS 1 News.
And if you want to get involved and make a difference, whether it be volunteering, making a donation, or even starting your own food drive, please go to islandharvest.org. You can find all the information you need right there. And that's going to do it for us for this special FiOS 1 News presentation, Harvest for Hunger. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of everyone here at FiOS 1 News, we wish you and your family a healthy and a happy holiday season.